I got an axolotl plushie for Christmas. My older niece got this for me for Christmas. It's so cute and squishy. So thank you. Um, you're gonna be in the background. That was always one of the characters from Punk Hazard that I did feel very sorry for. I mean, like I felt sorry for the kids, and I felt slightly sorry for Monet in Punk Hazard for what happens to her. But I also felt sorry for Smiley because he didn't know what Caesar was going to use him for. Don't blame the giant slimy axolotl thing made out of sentient gas. Um, which, again, sentence not a lot of people say very often. So this video, as you can tell by the title and whatnot, is just called Why I Love One Piece. So, One Piece has been around for 25 years at this point in time. I've probably only known about it, well, like most Americans, I only knew about it because of the 4Kids dub. So I'm going to talk about that a tiny bit. So yeah, my first experience in regards to One Piece was the 4Kids dub. Saturday mornings. I'd seen previews for the show, and it just looked weird with like the stretchy boy like turning into a balloon and everything with Luffy in it. And I was just like, this is not. I don't know what this is. It didn't look all that entertaining to me. And then at one point in time, I probably just ended up watching an episode just to be like, okay, I'll see what this is about and see if it's something I actually care for. I don't know which episode it was. It might have been Orange Town. It might have been something else. I don't know exactly which episode it was that I caught. But I watched it and I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty interesting. Uh, this seems somewhat entertaining in the mind of I don't know how old I would have been at that point in time, 10, 9 range, give or take. Um, but like I watched the 4Kids dub. I watched it through, the East Blue stuff where we learned about Nami, and then through Logtown and into into the Grand Line where we met, Chopper, and where we met Vivi and everything, and going into that through Alabaster and stuff. And so I'd seen through that. And then I think where it, transitioned was where, Funimation took over and like they did the dubs from there. And I remember watching Skypiea, and then it just kind of like I either they changed times and I couldn't find it anymore or whatever happened, I don't know. But I just couldn't find it to watch anymore. And from there on, I was just like, okay, well, I guess it's like gone or something like that. Like in my mind, I'm just like, oh, I guess it's done or whatever. Didn't know about the manga. And then I think probably a couple of years later was when I more found out about the manga. I don't remember how exactly I found out about the manga, but I did. And I started to read through the manga. I think I may have read up from, started with the first chapter with Romance Dawn and worked my way through to kind of wherever the manga was at that point in time. And I think somewhere in that time frame, I ended up finding the anime again. I know at some point in time, I found it again on Adult Swim and watched it there from Cartoon Network. And I know at some in that range, they were like in finishing up like the Long Ring Long Land arc with Foxy and everything, and then we're gonna go into Water 7 because I remember watching the Water 7 arc and through NS Lobby and stuff. Um, but there was just other things in the series that I was just like, okay, well, I'll, and then I like fell off of it for a little while, and then I got back on, um, and it was just like I hadn't paid attention to it for a couple of years, and I'm like, okay, well, and then like I saw the anime again at some point in time. Like it was an off and on thing, where it'd be like I'd read some of the manga, and then like I'd see some of the anime, and eventually it was just like, okay, well, then other stuff happened, and then eventually I did end up getting to the point where I ended up watching, getting caught up with the anime, in regards to where it was on TV at that point in time. And I remember, getting, I subscribed to Funimation online so I can watch the stuff there, working my way through and everything. Still at the moment, I still have to finish up the Whole Cake Island arc in the English, which is, I know Wano is about to start, or it's just started in regards to the English dub for Wano. So, yay, we're at least in the same arc as where the rest of the anime is. Um, but we got a long way to go before it's all caught up. But like, I would watch through stuff, and like eventually I did get to the point where I'm just like, okay. And I think I have technically read all of the One Piece manga in regards to like starting with chapter 1 all the way up through, well, at the moment when this comes out, it should be chapter 1070, unless we get another new chapter, and then it would be 1071. Um, but throughout all of that time frame, there were always different moments in One Piece, or different characters, or different concepts that they did in One Piece that I just loved so much. And in regards to that, I just kind of want to talk about some of those. So if you want to listen to me ramble about why I love One Piece, then you're in for a treat. If not, okay, whatever. So there were different things, of course, throughout the course of the series. You know, I saw the East Blue stuff with like with what Sanji went through, and with Nami and everything, and you know, things like that. Like I knew who Shanks was and different things like that. But one of the things that I noticed a lot when it came to One Piece was stuff where we would see a lot of the different characters, have these very high moments and very low moments, which happen in life anyway. In regards to stuff with, with the East Blue, it was mostly the thing that hit me the most there was Nami's backstory in regards to what she went through with Bellemere and Arlong and everything in her town and all of that. And even in the even in the Four Kids dub, they, the Arlong is not the best anymore, and they have the horrible one-liners and everything, but at the very least, they still kept some of that there with like the traumatic stuff that Nami had to go through. Not all of it, but they kept some of it. So that's at least okay. You get some vague low scoring points for that. But there's everything that Nami goes through. There's everything that we see that the other Straw Hats have gone through, and we get their different backstories. The different detailed backstories that Oda has done for many of the other characters, side characters and side characters, and characters that we see like in like 2 panels and then we never see them again. That Oda has all of these different backstories for these characters. And this is other things about the series that I love, where we get all this other backstories where there's the SBS and the different data books and different things like that. Where like the fact that the fans have like sent questions into Oda that have resulted in quote unquote canon material in regards to stuff about, yes, a fair amount of it does involve boob size, which, hey, I can appreciate him too, but I do not aspire to be the same body type that Robin and Nami are, because if I had that small of a waist and those large of breasts, I would snap in half. So yeah. There's that. But, there's different things that I really love just so much about the series. I love the characters, these stories, these different places the Straw Hats would go. Whole Cake Island, more recently and stuff like that. Like I love the Alabasta stuff because I love, mythology, stuff with running around Drum Island and different things like that. Where it's, the East Blue is pretty basic in regards. Yeah, we have a ship that's a restaurant. That's okay. That's cute, but I didn't necessarily see that as strange because like I've been on, ships at that point in time that had restaurants on them, so I didn't see that as strange. Or I guess not as strange as other people did. But most of what we see in the East Blue is pretty much tropical or rather normal looking places. And then you just get into the Grand Line, and it's just like giant whale, cactus shaped island, sand or snow island with 2 giant dinosaurs on it and 2 giants that are fighting. Giant ice island, sand island, random small island that's been cut in half, sky island, back down, weird round island, giant ring island, moving on down the line. All of that stuff. And even some of the I have not seen the anime all the way through. I know that because I know there's certain like filler arcs that I just haven't seen. Like I don't think I've seen the arc that's like just before what happens in Logtown with like the little girl with the dragon, and there's stuff like other additional arcs that I just haven't seen, that are the that are the you know you know filler arcs and stuff like that, and I just haven't seen them. At some point in time, I do intend to watch One Piece all the way through, including the filler, just so I've done that. But it's not something that it's not like extremely high priority on my list. I've got other things that are much higher up on the list of things to do. Um, but different things where we deal with a lot of the different characters and all these other fun islands and everything like that were always things that I loved. And then you get into other concepts in the story, like there's Roger and the pipe, the One Piece treasure and everything, and like yeah, probably when I was a kid, I had thought that oh well, the One Piece is probably just a whole bunch of like gold and jewels and stuff like that. Stuff that'll make Nami happy, stuff that'll make the Straw Hats rich. Take your pick. And then down the line, we get all of these other, we start to learn about with Robin and the poneglyphs and the true history. And, you get very invested in Robin's backstory, of course. I mean, like, you kind of get to know her and everything throughout Skypiea and throughout Long Ring Long Land and going into Water 7 and everything. You get to kind of know her a little bit. And then, when you find out that she's sacrificing herself for the Straw Hats because she's finally found a place that makes her happy, she basically fulfilled, kind of the quote unquote, what Saul had told her when she was a child, that no one is born into this world to be alone, that you will find friends out there and they will never leave you. And Robin has now basically seen that. She saw that with what happened at Enies Lobby when the Straw Hats and Frankie, who barely knew Robin, they all stand up and they're all ready to fight against the world government in order to get her back. They will fight against these top assassins that we know at the time. The CPI just here was left up for debate and everything like that, but they're mostly in like the New World, but they pop up in the the second, the Paradise every now and then, I'm sure, but they mostly stay in the New World. Or around the Tenryubito. But, we see what the Straw Hats are willing to go through in order to get to Robin, and Robin sees that, and that's why she starts fighting. Literally, when one of the very prominent scenes is, it's, it's spawned them trying to drag Robin through, like, the underbelly of Enies Lobby to get her to the Bridge of Hesitation and everything, and it's him dragging her, and she is literally biting the stairs with her teeth so he can't drag her as easily. She is fighting against him every step of the way. And I like how Lucci's just kind of standing there off to the side, like just watching as this happens, because I'm sure he finds it entertaining to watch Spondum make a fool of himself. Also, Lucci wants to, wait, give a little bit more time to see if Luffy can catch up so he can fight Luffy again. So, there's that too. Because Luffy intrigued him. And of course, now in the current arc in Egghead, we're getting this kind of, additional payoff to seeing how much stronger both Luffy and Lucci have gotten over the last some years. Okay, so that's the other thing. That is one thing that I wish Oda was a little bit more clear about in regards to like the timeline of One Piece. I know that like way back at the beginning he was a little bit more like this to this to this to this was this amount of time. But then after that it's just like, nope, you guess. Because it's like we never see the Straw Hats celebrate any of their own birthdays or anything like that. We never see but I mean if you add everything up from the time Luffy left to when they land on Sabaody to when they're all split apart, that's at least a good 6-8 months. Between most of the islands, that time frame takes place within like the course of like a couple of days, give or take. I was trying to think of the way in that time frame for like the first half, like what would take the longest out of all of them. Skypiea possibly, because I think that takes place over about 2 or 3 days, and then Alabasta takes place over a couple of days in that regard too. But in like Enies Lobby and like they're on between Water 7 and Enies Lobby, and when they're on the post Enies Lobby arc, there's that takes place over several days and everything. So that those parts don't take very long, but then there's like the traveling from one island to the next that sometimes takes a little bit longer, so that adds up. and then they're separated for 2 years, and then they're back together. And then even from there, you know, they've then gone on more adventures, and between stuff that happens in um I think they're on Zoe for a couple of days, and then the travel to Whole Cake Island, and then from Whole Cake Island to Wano, and then they're in Wano for a good 2 weeks before they fight Kaido, before the battle on Onigashima. So then that adds up, and you go from there, and then like now that then there's Luffy and Zoro are asleep for a week after the fight with Kaido, which takes place over the course of one night. With that battle. And then, of course, you go into other stuff where it's just like, okay, so, and then however long it took them to travel from, Wano to, Egghead Island. So there's that. And it's just like, okay, so I'm pretty sure by technicality it's been about 3 years or so since the actual full-on start of the story. So Luffy is probably closer to 20 than he is to 19 at this point in time. But again, that's not determinable because Oda hasn't stated that yet, unless he ends up saying, oh, hey, like Luffy goes, huh, it's my birthday. It is? Yeah, I'm 20 now. Okay. We didn't know how old you were to begin with, because you never told us your age, Captain. Another thing Luffy never told the crew, unless that is part of like something that like Nami keeps track of in the logbook or something like that, where she just like that's something Nami does, like she has the logbook, because anyone that is on this crew that writes the logbook is either Nami or Robin, because I highly doubt Luffy has enough skill to read and write that way. I'm pretty sure Zoro can at least read and write. I think his sensei would have at least drummed some of that into him. Usopp, I'm pretty sure Usopp can read and write. That's pretty much sure, with the amount of blueprints that he probably draws up for different objects and stuff like that he probably knows how to read and write. Chopper definitely knows how to read and write. That is very much true. Robin, she definitely knows how to read and write. Frankie, again, knows how to read and write. Pretty sure Tom would have at least drummed some of that into him and Iceberg when they were kids. And of course, Frankie has to do all these, different blueprints and everything like that. Admittedly, there is a difference between reading blueprints for building a ship and for reading a book, but still. Jinbei definitely, Brook definitely knows how to read and everything like that. Probably Jinbei as well. In regards to like being able to read and write on like a much more formal scale and everything like that. Luffy is the one that I'm like, I don't know, because we never get any indication that Luffy had an education of any kind beyond, like, I don't know, whatever the heck did Dawn try to drill into him, or Makino tried to teach him and Ace. Sabo definitely has an education to a degree up to, like, whatever happened, and we see him kind of go through education when he's, part of the Revolutionary Army. But I'm backtracking here, but, like, I love the idea that it's just, like, did Nami, like, as each of the Straw Hats join the crew, does she have, like, a book that, the log book or whatever that she, like, she has, like, a page that's, like, birthdays on it, and each time one of the new crew members joins, she's like, okay, come with me. What are you doing? I have a logbook. I need your help filling out information about you. Name. Like, she's just, like, interviewing Jinbei, because now he's the most recent crew member. Jinbei, yes. Full name. Jinbei? Career occupation, helmsman. Former occupation, warlord of the sea / captain of the sun pirate. Just like fills out this, like it's a resume that like he has to fill out, so Nami has the information on him. Blood type, favorite food, least favorite food, favorite color. It's like stuff from the SBS that he like fills out, that she fills out with him. And she like does that each time they get a new crew member. And, like, birthday, okay. I don't remember what Jinbei's birthday is. The only one I actually remember for the birthday is Usopp, because it's April 1st because of April Fool's Day, but that's it. I don't remember any of the others. I know Zoro's is in November, but I don't remember when the other ones are, so sorry. I think Luffy's is in May because of, like, that's when Children's Day is, but I don't remember any of the other. Oh, Chopper's is Christmas Eve. Chopper's is Christmas Eve. I know this. And Ace's was January 1st. But other than that, I don't really remember any of the other birthdays for the Straw Hat characters. Well, that's not true. I know Kuro's and his is April 22nd because that's my birthday, and I'm like, why do I have to share a birthday with him? He's not even a cool villain. Even if I shared a birthday with Eneru, that would have been something. I'm like, okay, Eneru is at least somewhat threatening. Kuro now, not so threatening. Moving on, but I just have that funny concept of like that's how like they put the SBSs into the story. It's just like Nami has like a resume for each of the Straw Hats. Zoro's is just swordsman, likes sake, sleeps a lot. But just like that's another thing that I love so much about One Piece is like the crew's dynamics that they have with each other in regards to how they all interact with each other. That yes, there's these Zoro and Sanji have like the rivalry, but like yeah, they'll still fight to protect each other if necessary. Sanji still helped to take care of Zoro when he was like the giant bandaged up version of Zoro that he was when they were on Onigashima after he got hurt by Kaido and such. Sanji still took care of him and different things like that. And we just see a bunch of that when it comes to the Straw Hats. We also just like how much they've grown as characters. With this is very evident in regards to Nami, how she like very much lied and schemed a lot back in the East Blue, and now yes, she still knows how to scheme, but she has no intention of lying to her crew anymore because they are her friends. Nami has gone from this one, this girl that had gone through so much suffering, not that the others haven't gone through suffering, but she went through so much suffering in regards to everything that happened with Arlong and her mom, and now she is, she has this Climatak that allows her to control the weather, and she has Zeus inside of said Climatak, which just makes her even stronger and everything. And there's the whole theory that like maybe she'll end up with a devil fruit at some point in time. Barring one that like just more exceedingly gives her more of a defensive capability, I don't see Nami needing a devil fruit. I would like Nami to learn armament hockey though, because I would say that her weather or prediction and observation abilities is pretty on the cusp of becoming observation hockey. But I would like her to learn either one. But again, I don't know if that's going to happen. But you see that, you see other things with the other Straw Hats. You see this whole thing that like Robin goes through in regards to like, oh no, I'm just here because your captain saved my life and now he's responsible for it too. No, I want to live. I want to go back to the sea with you. To with Wano, with everything that just happened with Black Maria and everything that we just got to see in the anime with her turning into the Fleur Demonio or the Demonio Fleur and everything, which I'm just like, why am I turned on by staring at this thing? In regards to Robin as the giant demon thing. And then like just snapping Black Maria's back. I'm like, oh. I saw some of the scenes, I'm just like, oh man, no. Oh god, ow. Even if Black Maria isn't dead, she's at the very least not going to be moving around for a while. In regards to that, I don't know if they would be able to fix that. But like that stuff, we see stuff with even before like the Straw Hats showed up with Frankie, he was building the Frankie family around him. He built up all of his Mozu and Kiwi and all of the other Frankie family, that like these were people that he found that needed help, and he brought them into this family. And yes, they kind of turned into bounty hunters / ship dismantlers and everything. But even after everything that happened with that, with everything that happened with Enies Lobby and such, all of them were taken in under Iceberg when Frankie had to leave, and Iceberg has since taught them how to, Mozu and Kiwi have, Blue Nose Old Bar, so that's where they are. But all the rest of them now work for Iceberg as part of Galley Law. They have like their own ship area where they help with construction and different things like that. So there's that. So it's just like Iceberg, took them in and everything like that to help Frankie because Frankie was his brother. And all this other stuff that we see in regards to like, there's the horrible backstories. As I've stated before, all 10 of the Straw Hats have sad parts of their backstories. Extremely sad in varying different capacities. But then I'm just like, okay, I just wanted to be that Brooke and Jinbei had just like happy childhoods. And happy childhoods, their parents were around. That wasn't an issue. They maybe had siblings or not, but like they were at least happy. And like stuff didn't happen going bad for them until they were like, full grown and everything. And like this this horrible backstory didn't happen until what happened with the Rumbar Pirates. I'm like, that's still bad, but at least give him a happy childhood. And of course, Brooke's backstory just got touched upon again with everything that just happened with Black Maria and everything, as did Robin's backstory that we just saw with that. But which I talked about several weeks ago in several videos. But then we have, with Jinbei, it's just like, okay, stuff happened with him. I'm not denying it. What happened with Fisher Tiger and Otohime and stuff like that. Yes, all of that happened. But I at least wanted to be that Jinbei had some form of a happy-ish childhood in the Fishman district. And it's just like, can we please have that? But like, the Straw Hats have gone through so much. They've literally at times gone through hell and back. Like Luffy literally went all the way through Impel down to the bottom, nearly died, and then fought his way back out with a whole bunch of other prisoners with him in order to escape so he could go and try to save Ace. He did all of that for his brother. And it's you get those highs where it's just like, he saved Ace, and then nope. And like that horrible thing that happens there with Luffy, and like you still get the speech with Jinbei later on Amazon Lily, where we have it that Jinbei like pins Luffy up against the rock, and he's just like, do you truly have nothing else worth living for? And that's where we see one of the moments that I love in One Piece, because it's Luffy standing there, or he's on his knees, I don't remember which, but and he starts counting off on his fingers each of his crew members up to that point. And it's just like, it's him remembering that, yes, I know. And it's Jinbei's not denying that what happened to Ace was horrible. The way Ace died and everything like that. The fact that Ace died, he's not denying that that was horrible with what happened with Ace and Whitebeard and everything. And the loss of so many others that were there that were at Marineford on that day. But it's that moment where Jinbei is just looking at Luffy and he's just like, remember what else you have. What else you have to keep going for. And it's just Luffy remembering that there are these 9 other people that are his crew that he wants to see again, that he wants to get back to, because they are his family, they are his Nakama. And that's why he resolves to train for 2 years, because he's like, I couldn't protect Ace and I want to protect them. And that's why he trains for 2 years. That's why they send the message of the 3D2Y around the world to where all the other Straw Hats are. So that way they all know that, it's not going to be 3 days, it's going to be 2 years. And I love the fact that it's not just Luffy that trains, it's all of them that train. And they all just get stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where, yeah, they show up again and like, I'm not saying that pre-time skip Usopp would be able to stand up to pre-time skip, post-time skip Usopp. I don't think he would be able to fully stand up to pre-time skip Luffy, but he'd give him a much better run for his money than the Luffy versus Usopp fight that they had at Water 7, which is another moment that just makes you go, ugh. And like losing Mary and everything that happens with that. And, we see all of that. And there's just other stuff, and like, yeah, I touched on this a little bit before, but it was like, yeah, there's the whole fun bit about, the female character designs in One Piece. And I'm not, clearly with everybody else on the internet, I am not the first one to criticize the way that the women are designed, but also, I don't mind it in the fact that that's just the way that Oda draws women. It's not, that's the way that women get drawn in shonen a lot of the time, or in anime a lot of the time, where it's like skinny enough waist, rather good hips, really big boobs. That's not surprising. I did a whole Digimon video last year, or whatever, halfway through the year before, something like that, where I talked about the character designs of, the women in Digimon. And it's like, the humans are kept normally designed, whereas the Digimon are much more that style, where the female Digimon like Anjuamon and Rosemon and stuff like that are much more of the whole, much closer to like the typical anime girl design in regards to, the big boobs. But and One Piece just has that all over the place, and particularly if you like read through the manga or watch through the anime, you literally watch as Nami's boobs get bigger and bigger. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Nami would have been out of puberty by then, but okay, sure, whatever. But and something that I went over a couple of weeks ago in the Vegapunk video, where Vegapunk talked about like kind of somewhat how devil fruits are created. I pointed out the fact that it's like the One Piece world as a whole is literally just Oda going, "What else can I mess with?" And we as an audience are just like, okay, what else do you got for us? Because we're ready and we're waiting and we want to know what else you got here. And that is literally what happens from chapter to chapter, from week to week. Even in the movies, even in the anime, it's like, let's see what the anime can do. Even when they throw in some like additional filler here and there. And Wano hasn't had nearly as much filler as other arcs have, but they're still filler. But in certain cases, like what they just showed with like Robin's mom and Saul and Clover, and then with Brook and his crew, that is filler that a lot of people are like, I am perfectly okay with this. Yes, it's touching on information we've seen, but it makes perfect sense for why they would want to show it now. And, all of the Straw Hats have gone through like these horrible lows to the highest of highs, to, where they're just happy and wanting to take care of each other and just having fun and everything. And then, of course, there's also all of the other amazing fights that have happened in One Piece in regards to what you see with that, in regards to, Luffy versus Crocodile, Luffy versus Endeavor, Luffy versus Lucci, Luffy versus Doflamingo, Luffy versus Katakuri, Luffy versus Kaido, and then now it's going to be Luffy versus Lucci again. And even like Luffy versus Arlong, I would throw in there as well. I mean, yeah, Arlong was someone that Luffy technically beat on their first try, but he still kind of had to have help in that regard, in regards to, getting freed from the cement in the water. With Sanji and Nojiko helping. So there's that, but it's just like Luffy and the others, we see as they grow as characters. And yes, we've seen them become braver, become better fighters, become better friends in certain cases too. And stuff like that was things that I always loved about One Piece. Yes, I know I rambled in a few places, but I gave you full warning at the beginning of the video that this was going to be rambling about things that I love about One Piece. But it's, and I will continue to read the manga and watch the anime all the way up to the end. Watch the other movies when they come out, whenever the heck those are. I'm going to be really happy when Film Red comes out on Blu-ray so I could watch it again. There's sirens in the background. Please be careful. And like, all this other stuff. And, I will watch the anime and read the manga all the way through up until the end, all the way up until, the One Piece is revealed and whatever final battle arcs and whatever the hell also happens and such, that I will be there and I will be happy to find out what it is. And I will probably do videos about things and different things along those lines, as is the point of this channel. But it's, that's what I will do. And I will happily and gladly do it. But thank you for watching, for whoever did end up sticking all the way through. I appreciate it. This is going up on New Year's Day. I hope that everybody has a happy new year. I hope that everybody has a safe year, and also I did want to touch on the fact that I just love the power system in regards to the devil fruits, and it's just like you can have anything. You could turn into an animal, you could be, you could have all these, you can produce some weird substance like wax or poison or something like that, or you can turn into an element or different things along those lines. I wanted to touch on the devil fruits because I love them so much. And I really hope at some point Oda does reveal drawings and pictures and stuff like that for what all of the other devil fruits look like, so that way I can make them out of perler beads and just have like a whole collection of these are all the Paramecia, these are all the Logia, and these are all the Zoan, and then these are the ancient Zoans and the mythical Zoans, and then these are whatever the anything else that pops up. So yeah, that's what I have. Now it is. I thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment about why you love One Piece in the bottom in the comment section. So bye.